Hello, everyone, and welcome to SharePoint Power Hour. This is a show we do most Wednesdays at 11 Central. I'm Laura Rogers, and I have Joelle Jobson on audio here.
Hello, everybody.
And so this week's topic is going to be this new list conditional formatting that has come out, list and library view conditional formatting in SharePoint Online. So that is what we'll be talking about. And we are streaming live on YouTube and Facebook. Probably about 3 or 4 weeks ago when we did this, YouTube had been starting to restrict their bandwidth. There's something was going on and we couldn't stream via YouTube. It was having all kinds of issues and kept cutting out. So I'm currently streaming on both YouTube and Facebook, and on our Power Hour page on IW Mentor, iwmentor.com/pages/power-hour. It's probably where you are right now, but that's got a link to the YouTube and to the Facebook, just in case the YouTube one goes wonky again. And I'm sure y'all will let me know in the chat if that happens. But it seems okay so far, because last time when the issues happened, it was hard just even getting the broadcast started. So we are on both platforms, and the fun thing about Power Hour is that it's live. You never know what's going to happen, and then we have chat going on. So we use Slack for our chat, and we have conversations, questions, discussions about whatever we're talking about that day. And you all, a couple of people asked me why we're using Slack, not Teams. Well, first of all, we've been using Slack ever since before Teams even existed. Just that's the platform we've been using. Haven't swapped over to Teams. Teams has a live, a way to stream, have a live event functionality, but the live event functionality doesn't have the chat like we use in Slack. So I was kind of waiting for the live event functionality to be a little better and to have all the things that we're used to here in just using Slack. So we're just going to keep using Slack. All right, so I'll go ahead and flip over to sharing my screen. It's good to see you all. It's been so just crazy in the world, and it's been so weird, not going out and seeing humans and being here with all the kids here and go on a lot of bike rides and things. But it's good to see you all and catch up with what's going on with people out in the community, and it's good to be chatting with you all. So keep it up, say hi, roll call, and definitely get involved and ask questions as we go. So let me switch to my screen sharing. There we are. And my site is, let's see, a demo list. All right, I started off by putting a couple of things, doing this formatting on a couple of things, but I'm going to go ahead and just start completely over from scratch and show you what this looks like, what we're talking about today. So I think you can see my screen. All right. So what we have that's new, and this is a list that I've used in a lot of other demos. So it's got a lot of just different types of columns and things like that. So it's a good example for just all this different conditional formatting we're doing, because it's got all the different column types in it. And so what is new is when you click all items, and this is on a list or a library, you have format current view. That's not new, but you have this conditional formatting thing. So this alternating row styles is just to alternate the rows. That's not the conditional formatting. That's just a way that you can style it, and you can just uncheck it to turn it off if you want to. And here's the conditional formatting. So as soon as you turn it on, you're creating a rule. So first of all, it's got this interface where it's saying to show all the values as something. It's just turned them all to gray by default. But then when you start adding your rule, then you're going to define what they're going to look like under a certain condition. So you could, so what you can do is you can have columns be just a certain color if they're a certain value. So let me, just before I start building this, I'll compare it to what we have. So I can say status, format this column, and I can say the format choice options are really just saying, okay, if it's not started, it's this color. If it's in progress, it's this color. And if it's completed, it's green. So things like that. So those are just going to define what color it is, just no matter what. So the conditional formatting is new. So we got rid of that because you can say, show it a certain way under a certain condition. And you can do that for columns and views. So on each column, when I go format this column, it has the format choice options that I showed you, and it also has conditional formatting. So it's here for this specific column, or I can choose entire row. So I can just toggle from column to column just in here. I don't have to, like I used to have to go back out and then go to the other column and format it. But now I can just kind of toggle between it. So if I go to format current view, and right now it says apply formatting to entire row, and then I can just change it to something else. So let's just do one that's got, does anybody see this? Does everybody see this thing in their tenant, this option in their tenant, conditional formatting? I'm interested to see kind of the feedback in here. I would assume that people that are maybe on government tenants don't have it yet because it's fairly new, but I think a lot of you will have this. So kind of go and check in your tenants and let me know if you see this or not. But I'll go ahead and go to conditional formatting, and I'm adding a rule. So if something, then show it as a certain way. So if the status is not equal to completed, so this is a choice field, so it just gives me these nice easy drop down boxes. If the status is not equal to completed, and if the due date is before today, see, it knows what type of field it is, so it gives me easy little selections here, then show it as what? And the colors are kind of ugly. That's because that's the closest I could get to red. It's like it's got like a pink and an orange. We'll talk about the colors too. But the idea is that it's if this, then this. So if this and this, then show it as this. So that way you're not just only showing it as red if it's not completed. You're only showing it as red if it's not completed, if it's also past its due date. So for example, I'll go to this one and I'll set it as completed and set up committee meeting. And now that one is not red anymore. So it's past its due date. It's just not, it's completed. So it's not red. Now, you can change the colors. Now, once you need to do anything beyond that, it's going to, you still have the advanced mode that you can go into. So let's go look at a couple of other things real quick. So I can say like due date. I'll be interested to see what it looks like when there are two different possible conditions that could be on something. So I'll say conditional formatting on the due date. If add a rule, if due date is on, let's see, is equal to today, so it is due on today, and if status is not equal to completed. And then what do I want it to look like? I want it to be like yellow. Now I don't have any that are due today, so I'll just go ahead and edit them and look and make one say that it's due today, and we'll see what it looks like. Due date, that was a long time ago. You lock down your lists and use Power Apps to develop list manipulation. I do the same thing, Greg. I usually do that today. Okay, there we go. Oh, it's even got a time field. Well, I don't really care. Okay. All right, so now it looks like the setting for it being today is now it's got a yellow due date instead of having the whole row being. Now those colors are still a little obnoxious, don't you think? Now I did notice that when I go to column settings, format this column. Well, let me not mess with this. This is something I did a long time ago in a different demo. Let me go ahead and go to the title column. And I'll say show if assigned to is equal to, and you don't have a me in here, so you can try like me like that, and it's really a people picker. So I type Laura and I've got a people picker where I can pick myself. There we go. So if it's equal to Laura, then show it as green. But that's the problem because I don't want everybody to see it that way if it's equal to Laura. I want it to be showing green for yourself, right? So that's one little kind of negative about it, is that you can do that in the advanced mode and in that column formatting thing that we talked about a few power hours ago. So let's go look at the color
thing we've used in the past doesn't work. Like
what was that?
The me thing that we've used, like where we put the brackets around me, that doesn't work in that.
Yeah, it's a pain.
Okay.
And then, but the code, so this is the code, because I got this from that other tool that we're going to talk about. So it is possible to do it. You're just not going to have it as in the little easy mode settings that that give you the ability to just pick me. All right. Now let's look at this color code. So let me go back to format current view, conditional formatting. Oops, I just turned it off. Let me turn it back on. I'm glad it didn't wipe out my setting when I did that. All right, so I can go manage rules and I go to advanced mode. I can also have multiple rules. So I have, when I manage my rules, see I've got 2 rules. So if status is not equal to completed, show as red. Otherwise, show all values as gray, but I can add more rules. So I don't have to just have one condition. I can have multiple rules on the whole view. I can have multiple rules on any one column, and you can just stack the rules down down the row. So let me go back in there, and I keep clicking on it. I gotta go manage rules. Okay, when I go to advanced mode, so this is all that JSON that we used to have to do, the only way that we had to deal with it. And it's got these little color codes that it's given me. So look, it does have now.
Hey, Laura,
now.
I think.
What?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I think you're having buffering issues.
Oh, nice.
So it might be maybe connecting to Skype. So maybe if you just.
Oh yeah.
As I hear it in Skype, like I can hear you. It might be easier.
A delay. Yeah. Yeah, we can.
Or stop screen sharing at least.
We can hang up the. Yeah. Okay.
Maybe stop screen sharing with me for now and see if that helps.
Oh my gosh! Every time.
Oh, they're saying it's fine on Facebook. Oh no, somebody says it's buffering also, so I'm not sure.
I guess you check Facebook and let me know.
Yeah, I'm gonna look on both.
Every time, I swear to God, it's so annoying. I want to make sure I've got every single possible thing on my computer turned off.
Sure.
see. Okay, everybody's saying YouTube locked up. Can I get confirmation about... Anthony said Facebook is buffering, but Claire said it's fine on Facebook.
Yeah, I'm checking Facebook. I see YouTube running okay right now.
Okay. Told y'all it's gonna happen. Like, it's always something, right? Just sitting here minding my own business, getting buffered. Okay. Should I keep going? Okay, now they're fine?
Yeah,
Okay, well, maybe it was me sharing my screen with you that made that much of a difference.
It might help us cut that.
Huh.
Yeah, it looks good to be on both for now.
It's okay. All right. Good to know. Okay, I'm going to take this. Now I'm kind of digging into the code, so I'm going to take this, since it's hard to kind of work with it in this little window. I'm going to copy it and paste it over to Notepad++ and set my language as JSON. And here we go back to code again. So if you don't like the colors that it has to pick up, that it has just to pick from in the little picker, then you're back to dealing with code. So you think, Joelle, that I could just type a color in here, just a hex color? So here are the hex colors. I'll go ahead and show you that. See, I'll put that link in the chat. It's just a nice little reference. I'll put it over in the general channel. Hex colors. And then I'm going to put the list formatting samples in there too. So this is just while I'm sharing links, this is the list formatting samples that you can go grab the code from. So for example, this one takes and looks at the current user and just shows a certain color if the logged in user, if it's their name in the row. So it's got a ton of different cool little options, but I think I already covered this in in another Power Hour. So look how cool that is. That's another way you can do a view. Anyway, so that's where you can do the list view formatting. And so let's go back to this. So I'm going to say CC3366. Let's see if I can just put that in here. And put and just copy that. And no, it's not as easy as just putting a hex color in there. So they've made that part a little, it's got those certain little codes in it. So let me go back to my and hit undo. See, it's got these special CSS codes for the background colors, and those are associated with all those little colors that you can pick from. So manage rules. So that's this stuff. I go to more styles though. So instead of, it had a little limited, set of things that you could do in that one little box, but you do have more styles. So you don't have any more fill colors you can pick from, but you do have, look at this, I can change my fonts. I can change my font color to purple. And then I can even, ooh, that's really pretty. I can even do boxes and borders around things. So that's a ton of extra, sort of extra information about what you can do. Change your border color. So they give you a lot more different colors that you can pick from. Here, I feel like, well, it's not a larger quantity, but it's definitely brighter colors to pick from in here. But notice that Joelle, look how cool, it's got my theme colors. So whatever the theme is in SharePoint, so I've got a purple theme on this site, but so you can see all the, links and things are purple. So it gives me my theme colors as the first thing to pick from. It's pretty interesting. So I'll go ahead and save that. And now let's go look at the code. I'll grab that, copy it, and put it over here. But it's still got all these other little color codes, and it's just got them in a certain order. Interesting. But at least that's a good way that you could go figure out what they are, right? Let's see. Trying to look at the chat. What do you all think about that? Oh, you do have it in GCC? That's good to know. Wow, I missed a lot of comments. Let's see. Yeah, that's right, Eric. They don't accept RGB format either. So let's try this. So these are in a certain order, I feel like. So these are in, it looks like whatever, I picked a bunch of colors for various things like font colors, and I just put them in this order. It doesn't even indicate which one is which. So let me see. I'm going to go get rid of a few variables here and go back to my more styles here and change the font color back to automatic and save it. So now it looks like, so the only color I have this pink for the fill color, and I have the blue for the border color, and I don't have a separate color for the font. So now I've got the color that it is when it's overdue, and otherwise it's going to be this gray color. So let me go grab that code now. Advanced mode, grab all that, copy. So this pink color, I believe, is this error background 50. So all these colors are, this is what it's going to show me. Otherwise, it's going to be this neutral background, which is that gray. So what happens if I take this? It looks like it still put that blue. So let me see. No, yeah, it's specifically named border bottom color blue. So I feel like they just have some sort of syntax in here that you just have to know the syntax if you really want to dig in and mess with this. And you just have to know the syntax, and you have to be able to dig through here and figure out the pattern. Now, another thing that I did try is, so I went to that website that I just showed you that has all the different view formatting that you can do. And the format for showing assign to is, let me paste it back in there. And let's see if it's assigned to is me, then let's see. I think it's very confused because I had assigned to in there and then I added all this other stuff. It doesn't like me trying to just throw that code on top of everything that's going on. So let me just undo that. All right, so again, assigned to, the people picker fields are not going to have just an out of the box way. So what I was trying to do is, like I did for this title here, is let me go back into the rule. Instead of, I was trying to replace my name with, because the way the code does it, it says if assigned to .email equals me, then show it as this certain color. So then I was trying to just replace my name. I was just trying to put that at me in there, and that wasn't as as easy as just typing it in there. So again, a few limitations. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to stick to business user, what you can do, because what we've already been able to do in these formatting these views is JSON. So we've been able to do JSON in the views for at least a year, maybe a couple of years, right, Joelle? Something like that.
Yeah.
So
A little bit.
for this particular demo, what I'm trying to do is highlight what they're providing us out of the box, because we've already kind of covered, when you have to get to the point where you have to edit the JSON. So what I'm getting to is showing you where you hit the limits, where, okay, you can do this and this and this, but then if you want to change the color, then this is the limit that you're going to hit. And then if you want to change the assign to be dynamic, then this is the limit you're going to hit. So that's why I'm specifically avoiding, I'm not getting into the weeds with editing code in this particular demo, because what we're trying to highlight is the new things that they've added in the product. So let's go into, this thing is a mess. Let me go back and first of all, let me see if I have any questions. Yeah, you're right. So that's exactly, Billy just kind of said, as someone who's new to SharePoint, this type of thing drives me crazy. So I guess, Billy, hopefully it makes you feel better that it's, they're getting closer. So they're adding more things that you can do just in here with more interfaces of things that you can change. And there's still always going to be some sort of limit of, but I want it to do this, but it does 80% of what you want it to do, right? So it has this lovely little interface, and I can go delete. So I can go completely delete that rule, and that kind of cleans it up a little bit. But you can also do just format your view and by just doing things that we've never been able to do in SharePoint before either, like just changing a font color in a list, right, Joelle? I mean, that's that's a really big deal. If you ever wanted to change a font color in the past, you'd have to go dig into the master page or CSS or something, right?
Yeah, it was much harder.
Yeah, so let's see. So many comments. Let me see. Oh, thanks, Lisa, for the link to Laura's site. She's got a detailed explanation of multicolor themes. That's a great link. And that way, if you want to have a very customized color scheme, then you can do that. But this is definitely a lot better of an end user way that you can get your list to look. Let me go wipe that out again. Go manage rules and delete my rule and save it. And then again, I can add another rule, and I can just simply say, if the status is, let's see, I'm not going to do the same rule again. I like the way that you can do these on all the columns and the rows, and not have to go have it be restricted, because when they first, this first rolled out, you could only do it on columns, and then they added the row thing in, and it was just, you could do it on rows, but only if you could write JSON. But now at least it's more of a congruent experience, where whether you select the whole row or just one column, you have this conditional formatting box where you can turn on the conditional formatting and start creating your settings. Oh, that's a great question. Are there any admin settings to prevent users from doing this? So that's most likely going to be people that are members already have the ability to manage the lists and libraries and manage the views, but we can test that out. So what we'll do is, let me see, that's a great, because you have to worry about random people just showing up in here and and formatting things, and then everyone else just arrives on this list and sees it some completely different way. So let's try that out. Let's go look at Billy Bob's settings in here. So I'll go to my list settings, and I'm in my demo tenant, so I've got all these little fake users I can use. So I'll look at my permissions, and I'll check my permissions first to see Billy. And I'll see what permission Billy currently has. So he is in the members group. So what I want to do is remove him from the members group. So actually, let's just test it as it is. Just as it is, he doesn't have any kind of list management capabilities. He's only got read and contribute. So let's go see, just as with the ability to read and contribute, then what he'll be able to do. So let me go back to my... Okay, so now I'll log in as Billy. Go to the same site. Oh, got to go to the same list too. Let's see, demo task list. Or not. Yeah, there it goes. Okay, so Billy can see this list. He can, format current view. Let's see if he can actually change stuff. So I'll go into manage rules. So this is Billy doing this now. Yeah.
That's interesting. I wouldn't have thought that with contribute you would be able to do that.
Yeah, that's not good. So yeah,
it doesn't just apply to their personal. No, it says all items.
So let's go look, and of course, then when I'm in now, I'm logged in as me. You can see my name up here, and now, ooh, interesting. Let me see. I'm not seeing his formatting. Let me do a hard refresh. That wouldn't make any sense if if I didn't see the formatting that he put on the list, because he sees the formatting that I put on it. It's not a per user type of thing.
Unless it's like personal views in some way. You know, like the whole concept, like in there, in the permission list, that's like creating personal views. It's somehow tied to that.
Oh, look. When I refreshed it for Billy, it went away. That is interesting. Let me try that again. Okay. Conditional formatting. I just changed that whole column to yellow just to keep it simple. I didn't even do any condition. I just changed it to yellow and I saved it. Okay, looks like it's saved. No, oh, maybe it didn't save it. It doesn't save it when I'm logged in as Billy, but it lets you try to do it. Let me try just formatting the choice options. Say high priority is this weird color. Save. Okay, it shows it. Oh, look, when I try and save it, it looks like it's saved, but that doesn't actually save it. It just kind of previews it and doesn't let me change it. Well, that's kind of a tease, huh?
Yeah.
So Billy, the end user who only has contribute access, can't, it makes him think that he can change it, but he can't. Now, so if Billy creates, though, a personal view, so let's just go the old school way. Oh, no, I can't go into the view. I can't go into the list settings. Duh. So let me see if I can save you as Billy and make it a personal view. Now this is Billy's personal view. Now let's see if it lets him change it. It should, right? I would think. In progress. Let's see. Completed is going to be green. Save. Save. And then, okay. No, it went away. So he can create a personal view, but he can't put the formatting on his personal view. Okay. The plot thickens. Okay, so let's go give Billy a higher permission. So let's go make Billy. So now this is something to be aware of. By default, on all SharePoint team sites right now, everybody that you add to the site, you just add them as a member, they have edit permission. Now, I know you've all heard me rant about this before. The edit permission level lets all of those members add, edit, and then delete entire lists and libraries and manage all the settings in all lists and libraries. So that's the default. So he doesn't have that default permission level on this task list. He contribute permission level, which is the one I like to give members. You can't even change at the site level in just modern team sites. You can't even change their level from edit to contribute. You can do it on individual lists and libraries only. So I'm just going to go to the permissions for this task list and just give him edit again, which would be the default. So then we'll see if he can change the colors. Anthony, no, the opposite. Not only site owners can format lists and libraries. Most likely what we're about to test is all site members can probably format them too. I would like it to be if only with people with higher permission, but like I said, by default, everybody has a higher permission on all the lists and libraries. So permissions for this list. Yeah, the naming of the permission level called edit is very misleading, isn't it? And I feel like that's on purpose. Okay, so see, I've got members with contribute here. I'm going to change members to have, again, I've messed with this a bunch over the years. This is my demo site. So edit is the one that is the default for everything in all the modern sites. So now I'm going to give Billy the edit permission. So I'll show you now what Billy can do with edit. And let me double check. I'm going to click check permissions and say Billy. And see, now he has edit. He's in both groups, but of course he has edit, so he can do everything. Now let's go back to being Billy Bob. See Billy Bob up here? And a hard refresh. Yes. You're right, Trevor. It does make sense to educate users on what not to do. But when you have people in droves just throwing SharePoint sites at people, and just people in these big organizations or even small organizations creating hundreds of sites and just clicking create site, clicking create team just whenever they feel like, and they've got sites all over the place, the companies aren't necessarily keeping up with making sure every single person in the company knows the ramifications of creating a site and leaving all the default permission. I mean, I would, in a perfect world, I would think that everyone would get trained on SharePoint, but that is not happening. That is not happening in the real world. So you have messes everywhere, and you have people just using SharePoint that are brand new to it and don't know, doesn't even, if it occurred to him to even wonder what, all the permissions are on various lists and libraries. So that's why I teach that in my SharePoint Power User class. I teach all the nuances about that stuff. All right. Now I am Billy, and I'll just go to my all items view, everybody view, and I'm going to try to format this column. And I'm just going to do regular, just styles. I'll say if it's high, then make it this ugly color. All right, so I saved it, and now it let me save it, and I'll just double check by refreshing it. And so priority high is orange now. And now I'll flip back over to being logged in as myself, and I'll go back to logged in as Laura. And look at that. So now priority is showing as high. So that answers my question as to what happens with permissions. So now, just with all the default modern sites, members have edit permission. I've given Billy edit permission. So this means that all of the members of your site can change the formatting on all the default views on all the lists and libraries. So in order to prevent that, you would have to go change those people to have contribute permission level. And you can do that at the site or at all the lists and libraries. Yes. All right, I'm looking to see any other questions. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, Stuart says they turned off the ability for anyone to create SharePoint sites and are about to turn off Teams. Let's see. So let's talk about, now that we've talked about kind of what you can do with these new conditional formatting settings, and that you can format the background colors and the fonts and even the borders, which is really nice. Let's talk about just all the options for no code. If you don't know how, I don't know JSON. It takes me hours anytime I need to go figure out JSON on something. Let's go look at one of just the popular concepts in that. The most popular blog, and I wrote it a couple of years ago, is showing a button to trigger a flow in a list. So what I'm going to do is just a little fun thing, since it has to do with conditional formatting, is the trigger a button to put a button in a list in a column to trigger a flow, but then make the button look different under different conditions. And that is not an out-of-the-box functionality. But so the link to, let's see, here is I'll put it in the general channel. The link to customize view formatting is there. And then real quick, let me go to since we have like 15 minutes left, that's just a kind of little bonus thing. I'll do this one, put that link in the chat, in the general channel too. And then here's Microsoft's reference. So what they've got is this little sample code that they give you, create a button to launch a flow. And then this is actually what I already have in that list, this little thing that sends an email. So you click a button and it sends an email. This is going to try and open Outlook and send an email to those people. So that is what it provides you in their little samples. Then you've got, they do have a really simple one. It looks like they've added more to their repertoire here, because this stuff was not, look at this. This stuff was not in here last time I checked it. Let me go back to the flow thing. Dun, 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 dun. I'll just copy just what they have on their site. And then I'll go to my task list. And then sometimes what I do, just when I want to put a button that triggers a flow, I'll just add an empty column that's just called button or something like that, or run, or just something generic. And I'll just use that column purely for showing a button to trigger the flow. So now I've got this column called button. Now I'm going to go in my view settings and remove a few columns because this thing is just getting too wide. So I'm going to just hide a few columns just so it's not taking up so much real estate, so I can see what I'm doing. There. And then I go to button and go to column settings, format this column, and then this is where you could put that code. So there's the code that I just copied off of Microsoft site. So now it's got this send to manager button, and then I have to give it the URL to a flow. I mean, not the URL, the code to a flow. So let's see. Dun, 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 dun. Just go get, you just need to have that, you need to have this little number, this little GUID. And that's what you would take and paste over in the code where it's got, see the number for the flow, that's where you'd put that. Now I'm going to go show you a way to do two different ones. So this is using that same exact concept, but it took me hours to figure this out because I don't know JSON, but I figured I'd share this with you all. I mean, it took me forever because I don't, anyway, it was a lot of trial and error. So I have two different flows in this example, in this business example. One of them, I want them to see this button if the status is new. And then another one, I want them to see the button if the status is acceptance complete. So I'll just copy that code and I'll put it in this little button column. And then notice that my status doesn't equal either one of those things. So it's not showing anything, right? So now, first of all, I need to look at my status column in here. And I need to see what its system, my quick way of just seeing what the system name is of a column is to just sort by it. And then I can see sort field equals status. So it's not something like task status or something else. That is the system name, status. So now I just need to change, I'm just going to change the code to look for statuses that I already have because I'm lazy. So let me just kind of set that back so it's not sorted again. So now I'm going to say if status is equal to in progress, I'm just going to change my code. I want it to show this button. And then if status is completed, I want it to show this other button. And then I will go back to my button column. Look at that, isn't that cool? So it's not just showing different text, it's showing and hiding two completely different buttons. So let me show you how that, and I don't have these wired up to any flows right now. It doesn't, all you do is you just replace that little code, this little code with the code for the flow that you want it to trigger. So these are two completely different buttons though. So, the way that I'm hiding and showing the buttons, and again, I had to trial and error figure out how to do that, is by doing the display. So the display is going to show inline or none. And that's how I figured out how to show or hide an entire button, is this whole button is going to say, it's basically saying if the status is in progress, this button will display inline. Otherwise, the display is none. So see, this is the display and it's inline or none. So that is how it works for one button. And this is just what it says on the button. So it's just a button that's going to say, kick off this email that sends, this flow that sends an email to the investor, and it's got metadata in it and stuff like that. And then otherwise, so then I have this completely different button element, and it's got this style and color, but the display is if the status is equal to completed, it's going to show in line, otherwise none. So you wouldn't want to ever try and show them both at the same time. It's just going to be, if it's this status, it shows this button that says email investor form, and it's green. And then otherwise show this button that says receive funds, and it's blue, and it triggers this flow. So the code that is in the blog post for the way the buttons are colored and what they look like, the main thing that I'm demonstrating here is this display of inline or none is showing and hiding the buttons. Does that make sense, Joelle?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so let me see. I don't know if I can just paste that in there. There. All right. So that's one of those things that it's two completely different flows, and it's just I didn't wire these to actually do anything when I click on them, but all I have to do is replace them. Now, these flows actually each have a trigger for a selected item. And I know we've gone over that in a lot of power hours too, but the flows that you want to trigger with this button, it helps if the trigger is for a selected item, because then it knows, what information to pass to the flow that the item that it's triggering on, right? And that's all in that blog post too. So let's see, any other. Larry says, how does formatting either styles are visible or not affect how a list acts in Power Apps? It does not. So that's a good question. Nothing that we're doing in any of this formatting. Oops, let me paste it back in there. None of this has anything to do with Power Apps. None of this has any relevance or any impact on anything in Power Apps. Let me go flip back to my. So this is just simply the way you're viewing a SharePoint list in the browser in the list. And Power Apps is directly using the SharePoint data and displaying the SharePoint data, but Power Apps knows nothing about any kind of JSON code that you're displaying a list with in SharePoint. So this will not impact the way something looks in a gallery or anything like that. Yeah, this is just simply to display something. Now I wonder if you can make, one little more thing that I'm going to ponder is if you can make something disappear with formatting. If you can just make it not show. I guess if they had a color, they didn't have any options in there to just hide something. The only option was the colors and the fonts. So I guess if you had a color of the font that's exactly the same color as the background, you can make it hidden. So let me check real quick. That would be one of the first things I would want to do. Go, just refresh this. And go to the title. Get rid of that. Oh, notice that the title column is, since it's just text, it doesn't have that additional one that shows up for some of the choice fields and things like that. It doesn't have like a little built-in, if it's this choice, show it this color and that kind of stuff. All right, so if assigned to is equal to Laura Rogers, instead of showing if assigned to is equal to Laura Rogers, I'm going to say if status is equal to completed, then I'm going to, let's see, not do a fill color, but font color of, yeah, no, they don't really have a font color of clear, but they do have these cute little icons. That's pretty cool. See? So if it's assigned to Laura Rogers, I made the font lighter, and I made it, and I put a little person symbol next to it. That's really useful. Yay, it's assigned to me. I get a thumbs up. So the font that's hiding something, it looks like is not going to be something that it can scratch it out, but there isn't just an option to not show it.
Hey, I think you're not showing your screen at the moment.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, no problem.
I always do that, don't I? So I went to my little delay there. I went to my title column, and let me just save that. So I said, if status is equal to completed, I was trying to test if the title column can let me do a different font or something like that to make it look like it's invisible. Some way that I can make this column not show anything in it. And it doesn't look like, I try to do if status is equal to completed to see if I can make it look hidden. But when I go to more styles, I've got things like icons and borders, but I don't have anything that just says hide this column. So I can change my font column to a really light gray, and maybe my fill color, to match the font color. It doesn't really, there's not a good way to make it invisible. You'd have to have the fill color match the font color, or both of them be clear or something like that. So that would be nice, because that would be awesome if you could hide stuff, because then you could potentially have to say, look at who the currently logged in user is and hide stuff, right? And say, if you're not a manager, then you can't see what's in this column, or something like that. That would be a whole other level. That is not there yet with what we get out of the box, but the icons sure are cute. All right, I'll go ahead and go back to Anthony. Would you end up with empty rows? If you were hiding text on an entire row, yeah. In this case, I was just trying to hide I was trying to hide just the title.